Thank you, Ricardo, for being here again. Always a pleasure to have you. Just feel at home with the guy here hanging out. You know. Anyway, we're getting ready to go for another night. We're going to start us off with a little bit of the theme song "Bigger Than" by Brandon Hart. Might be a little cheesy. You might not think it represents me, but I don't give a shit because I like the song and I think it's good and I think it's got a great message. And so we're going to fade out for a minute. And here we go with a little bit of Mr. Brandon Hart. And I know he's doing some, he's done some, at least one virtual concert. So if you get a chance, check him out. Check out Tom Hart, Nova Rockefeller, all of them if you haven't, because they're really good cats and they're doing big things. So here we go, Brandon Hart.
Stop a speeding car. We don't fight super villains or fly off into the stars. We don't know our capes, have sidekicks, or even a best friend. But we know where it starts though, and that's usually where you end. And we could be bigger than Batman if we wanted to, bigger than the bombs we're going through. For every little lie you believe that's true. No, there's a superhero inside of you. Bigger than Batman if we wanted to, bigger than the bombs we're going through. For every little lie you believe that's true. No, there's a superhero inside of you. We're not perfect. Yeah, we don't usually kiss the girl. We don't have superpowers. Change your phone booths to save the world. We don't know our capes, have sidekicks, or even a best friend. But we know where it starts though, and that's usually where you end. And we could be bigger than Batman if we wanted to, bigger than the bombs we're going through. For every little lie you believe that's true. No, there's a superhero inside of you. Bigger than Batman if we wanted to, bigger than the bombs we're going through. For every little lie you believe that's true. No, there's a superhero inside of you. You call for a hero.
All right. That was our boy, Brandon Hart. Good dude there.
Yeah.
We dig his music. He's got a new release coming out tomorrow, too. I was just telling Ricardo.
Yeah.
He's going to have a Tom McDonald does his new releases on Friday, so it sounds like Brandon's taking over Thursdays.
Nice.
Which is cool. Hey, Nova, you go Wednesday, Brandon Thursday, Tom on Friday. All right, and then come out to Wyoming on Saturday and come hang out with us. That'd be cool. We'd be down with that. We'd love to have you guys out here. So, anyway, what's been happening, Ricardo? How's the new baby? Good.
Oh yeah, she's great.
Yeah, everything good.
Yeah.
Going through being a new father again.
Oh my God.
How's your sleep time been going? Non-existent.
Kinda.
Yeah.
It's like,
I can imagine.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, especially because now my wife wants to move into my room with the baby, so it's like, see, I've been sleeping in the room with the dog, so it's like fine, but
With the dog?
with my 3 dogs, yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so,
And then so she stays with the baby?
yeah.
Oh, wow.
Which has been really nice for me. At least she lets me sleep.
I don't know if she wants to hear that you're going to say it's been nicer sleeping with 3 dogs than with your wife. Oh, my God. Oh, boy. You might be in trouble for that one if she's listening right now.
No, trust me, it's fine.
Oops. It's been nice sleeping with the 3 dogs instead of oh, boy. Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a tough thing with kids, but you got to, I don't know. I mean, I don't agree with the parenting method of just let them cry it out, and don't pay any attention to them because I don't think that I don't think that's a good way to go.
No.
It just shows a child that nobody really cares about them. I mean, it's kind of like the idea of letting a kid get away with stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I've let my kid get away with stuff.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just have to.
Yeah. It's a way for them to learn. So.
And grow up. And sometimes it does good for them to think that, hey,
yeah,
I got over on the old man.
You know,
it's like, you know, when I'm sitting here going, hey, you think
it's kind of funny, but I remember it now when I was getting older in Mexico City, my parents used to let me get away with stuff since I turned 12 or 13 years old.
Yeah. I've done the same.
Yeah. And they were like, you know, it's your life, it's your choice.
Right.
And they only intervene very few times. Like,
I think it's important to do that. I mean, you can't just be an authoritarian.
yeah.
I mean, kids got to, you know, and as a child, you have to learn. And like I said, it's good for you to think that,
Yeah.
like, maybe, you know, like, hey,
Yeah. I've got this. I'm in control.
I got over on that one, you know?
No.
I fooled the old man.
No, it's like, oh my God. I don't even know if I
But, you know.
going into this, but it's like one time I was smoking pot with some friends and then we were getting drunk. I was like 15 at the time.
Yeah, that's about the right age.
Yeah. I was wasted, and then my dad walked in and he's like, okay, it's time for you to turn off your cigarettes, everything, just get the fuck out.
Yeah. Yeah, well.
And yeah, he gave me a shower and he's like, all right, you're gonna sleep now, but we're gonna talk tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, no, yeah, we've been through the same thing.
Yeah.
Here. I came in one night and I'm not working in the garage, and I come in and
Yeah.
I'm like, oh no. You know, like I'm the guy to get over with that on. I mean, it's like I go back there and his two buddies, and I mean, open the door and it's just like, oh geez. And they had already done their digging. And then, you know, I'm out there working, so he texts me. He says, can I go to the store with my buddies? We're going to go get something to drink. I'm like, yeah, that's fine. Come in, and I open that door, and they came back in the house. I'm just standing there like, all right, you guys get her away with a lot of things.
Yeah.
This is not one of them.
Yeah.
Like, hey, you are going home, and I'm having a talk with your mothers. You know, I mean, not that I'm not anti marijuana at all. I mean, I think it should be legal.
Yeah.
I don't even think it should be legal. I don't even think it should be a question.
No,
because it's a plant, for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, why the hell? I mean, you know, and you know, when Boone Tidwell was in here, he made that same argument, and I didn't really understand where he was coming from at first. But then I was like, yeah, you're right. It shouldn't be legal. It shouldn't even be in question.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, something like that should. I mean, you should. The government doesn't have the right to protect you from yourself. That's not their job. Your job is to protect you from yourself, and if you can't do that, then you know what? You can't do that.
Yeah.
And I guess maybe with that premise in mind, maybe that's where we're going here with this today, because we were talking earlier. Ricardo's obviously been through what he's been through with his brain injury and the things that he went through, and losing 31 years of life for like 3 years and not knowing where he was, waking up, and he definitely got a different through that experience.
It changes you.
You've got a completely different concept of life and death, and I know going through what I've gone through in life and close to death, I don't know how many times, I certainly have a different concept on it, and you know, Jackson and I lost a you know, important member of our family tragically yesterday, and so here we are again. You know, and it's something that you have to deal with and think about, and you know, everybody has kind of, when these things happen, you know, you tend to have like this despair and this you know, just it's weird how it affects you when somebody goes, but then I mean, when you think about it, we're all going.
Yeah.
Nobody, I mean, you know, and there's so many people. I mean, you look at religion, right?
Oh my God.
I mean, what is the main motivating factor in religion?
Yeah.
It's where you go when you die, right?
Yeah.
I mean, to me, that's what it seems like. It's like, that seems to be the major motivating factor in being a part of going to church on Sunday, putting money in the offering plate.
Exactly. But it's like these religions or whatever, these organizations are trying to control how they get money from members, and it's like people are like just blindly following it.
Right, and they're basically taxing the clergy, right? Yeah. And what was the move that Jesus pulled that pretty much was his demise? When he went in and took the tax collectors and, you know, totally just turned their tables upside down and raised hell. I mean, that was the end of Jesus.
Yeah.
When he did that, when he messed with the money, right? And when you look at religion, I mean, it's so much about, like, look at that Joel Osteen guy, right? I mean, he bought the arena where the Houston Rockets used to play basketball. When that hurricane hit, he would not let homeless people into that building so they could be safe from the hurricane. Now, is that what Jesus would do?
No, it's so fucked up. It's like...
Do you know how much it costs to sit in front row on a Sunday at Joel Osteen's church?
No.
$4,000.
And people really pay that.
You better believe it. I mean, look, it's Texas, man. I mean, you got all these oil tycoons. You got that oil money. I mean, you look at guys like that Kenneth Copeland. He's from Texas. Same thing. He's flying around in a... There's a whole thing on YouTube. You can check it out. He won't fly on commercial flights, so he's flying in like a G5 or whatever. And the reason why is because he thinks that the general public are like demonic, and that he can't have he can't have his talks with God if he's on a commercial flight because of the demonic.
Oh my God!
I mean, it's like, dude, you're flying around and you're supposed to be a servant of of God, and you're flying around in a G5. You know, I mean, what would Jesus do? Who Jesus rolled with? Jesus rolled with the dirty, the fishermen, the guys that were like the dirt bags of the guys that were getting in fights and carrying on and doing God knows what. I mean, those, so anyway.
No, but that was his crew. That was like the people he identified with. So.
Yeah, exactly. And there was a reason why, I think, because, I mean, and so what religion has turned into is this whole thing about, I mean, I see it all the time. I mean, and I'm not saying this is true for everybody. There are people that are involved in their religion, and they're very good people. And I'm not trying to put anybody in a box here. Nothing whatsoever. I mean, I'm definitely not trying to do that. But it seems like overall, a lot of people have gotten involved in religion because they're scared to death of death.
Yeah.
When they know it's coming. We all know it's coming. You're fooling yourself if you don't.
Yeah. And I mean,
if you live your life concerned about that.
Yeah.
If the things that you do are enveloped in this underlying idea of where you're going to go when you die, you don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, so is that faith?
No.
I don't think so either. I think faith is just letting go of it. Letting go of that and understanding that when it happens, it happens. And you can't be scared of it.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you think that when you die, there's going to be the magic man is going to be sitting there like pounding the gavel and pointing out every bad thing you did. When you were 13, you masturbated to the Sears catalog. I mean, are you going to hell for that?
No.
I mean, well, did you ask for forgiveness and get saved?
Oh, fuck that.
Well, right, exactly. It's like, did you learn throughout your? That's not what it's about. It's not about the magic man or the hat or whose magic man you believe in.
Yeah, it's kind of funny, but before the brain injury, I kind of was scared of the magic man or whatever you want to call it. Suffered the brain injury, and then it's like, I'm not scared of it anymore. It's like,
right. And I know, I mean, I've never really been scared of it. I mean, but I know when I had COVID.
Yeah. And
the night that I literally floated out of my body because I wasn't breathing and looked at myself while I was basically floating away.
Yeah.
There was no pain.
No.
I was not scared. I just went in my own, like in my consciousness, because that's all I can say that I was at that point was consciousness. I don't know what I was at that point, but I definitely was looking at my own body, and I remember my consciousness just thinking, oh, this is what it is.
Yeah.
I guess I'll go on my way. And then boom, got sucked right back in and came back. And I mean, I've been through so many car accidents and different, all sorts of things. I mean, been stabbed, I haven't been shot, but I've been in a lot of situations I shouldn't have made it out of.
Yeah.
And I mean, the only thing that I was scared of with death up until that point was the fact that I've got a son here by myself and that I can't leave him. But when I left, it was like, no, he's going to be okay. And I don't want to leave him, obviously. But everybody's got their time.
Yeah.
It's going to happen when it's going to happen. And I'm not going to say it's fate. I don't think it's predestined by any stroke of the imagination.
No.
I think we do have we do have the option to make our choices. Now, I don't know, maybe we have the genetic memory inside of us that when presented with certain choices, we are going to make the decisions we're going to make, and that's going to lead to our demise.
Yeah.
But you also got to look at it as like, without death, you're not alive.
Yeah.
So without having, and you got to think about, okay, what were you before you were born? Nothing. You don't know.
No.
You don't have any idea.
We don't know.
And so what happens when you? I mean,
we don't know.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't.
Everyone who says that they know, it's like talking bullshit.
And it doesn't matter what you say, you think, or what you say, you know, or the whole argument that they make. Well, if you don't believe in this, and then you die and you go to hell, well, aren't you going to be? No, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, hell might be where we're at right now.
For all we know.
Hell might be Earth. Who knows? It might be one big petri dish of an experiment. It might be an experiment,
For all we know, yeah.
I don't know. I mean, whoever's counting all the people, though, they got to be having a hell of a time, because that's a lot of people to be keeping track.
But,
and
then
the God knows He knows every hair on your head. And watches your every move. I mean, it's like Jesus Christ. He's like,
trust me,
he's like Santa Claus, like to the 12th power. I mean,
yeah, no, but trust me, it's like, why on earth would God even care about that? It's like, it doesn't make any fucking sense.
Well, and like we were talking before the show too, talking about Shiva.
Yeah.
And here I can't even say Kali.
Yeah.
And the astronaut that came back, and they asked him about, what did he see up there? He said, God is black. God is a black woman.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's truth to that.
Yeah.
And for anybody who's a feminist or whatever and wants to get all upset about that, I don't think you're taking this in the right context.
No.
Because the fact of the matter is that we're all going, and there's some force that brought us in, and there's a force that's taking us out. And it's taking us wherever we're going, whatever that may happen to be. Now, I don't know what it is. I mean, I believe that we are consciousness.
Yeah.
And I don't think that, according to science, which is fallible, and I'm sorry for the people who get upset about that.
Nope, it is very fallible. I mean, they don't know. They don't.
Right.
I mean, whatever we understand
is nothing.
It's only a little bit. It's like.
It's like Plato's. Nothing. It's like Plato's allegory of the cave.
Yeah.
Where you've got the two men they've been in the cave their entire life. They've had a fire burning behind them, and what they've seen is the shadows on the wall from the fire, and that's what they perceive. So if that's what a cow is to them, that's a cow. And then they one of them escapes, right? Is it one or both? I think it's one.
Yeah.
Escapes, and he goes out of the cave, and he sees reality.
Yeah.
What's he do? He goes back in and binds himself up again. Because what was actually out there
it's way
scared the shit out of him, because it was so different than what he had seen his whole entire life. And I think that's what our life is too, is like we don't even have an inkling. And people that want to argue science and, well, it's science. It's like, okay, yeah, it is science, but science is questioning.
And even
it's
then
proposing questions, and it's proposing hypotheses, and it's experiments, and it's.
But even then, science has its limits. I mean, they don't even know what's after.
Right. I mean, and to sit there, and I mean, when you listen to people talk about, arguing, billions of years of the Earth's age, and it's like, you don't know.
Yeah. No one knows.
Know. Who knows? You really don't, honestly. I mean, one thing in my beliefs as an Odinist is the one thing that we definitely stress is that you don't speak things that you can't personally verify.
Yeah.
I can't verify anything pretty much before 1980. I was born in 1976. So pretty much before that, I can't personally verify anything.
Yeah.
I can't tell you what the 1920s was like. I can read the history books, but history was written by by the winners.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, the history books are screwed up. Everything they teach you about history is a mess. You don't know. And then to sit there and have the argument, between creationism and evolution.
Oh my God.
What a stupid argument.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to believe in God and you're a creationist, well, don't you think that maybe your God is maybe that he did create the earth through certain evolutionary processes and adaptation, things of that nature? I mean, maybe. And if you're an evolutionist, I mean, I mean, okay, what the bang?
Yeah.
Was it a large hadron collider? Just two particles smashed together, and all of a sudden,
we don't
you
know.
have a mass. I mean, it's
like,
you know what I mean, like. As noticed, I mean, it's described as basically it's the same kind of thing. Like the Earth was formed from just a mass, and there were frost giants. But it's more of an Earth-based thing, and they're more like it's mythology.
Yeah.
And there's no dogma to it. There's no you have to do this, you have to do that. You have to put 10% in the plate.
Oh my God.
On Sunday, and if you don't, there's none of that.
Yeah, no, but let me say, it was funny because after the brain injury, it's like I tried going with my wife to the Mormon church, and I sat there one Sunday and I was like, this is bullshit.
You're probably like,
and my wife was like, you know what? I knew you were gonna say that, so it's like it's okay. Then I went to the Catholic church and I was like, this is bullshit.
Yeah.
And she's like, I knew you were gonna say that. And so I was like, so in what church do I believe? And she's like, you don't believe in any church. So it's like, you know what? To. That sounds great.
You know what? Church can be whatever you want it to be.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, at this point in my life, I mean, church changes for me. Like, you catch me 3 years ago, church is being on my snowboard.
Yeah.
Ripping a line on a powder day. You catch me today, church is being out there on my dirt bike, going and looking at all these geological, archaeological sites that I'm seeing and finding and researching that, and being out there by myself, like seeing antelope and watching a coyote run across and nobody around.
Yeah.
To me, and I've got my music going to my headphones, and I'm just out there alone and looking at all these things and trying to, I mean, I myself sit there and try and hypothesize. It's like, okay, how did this happen?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like I could see that there was obviously a great amount of water
that
came flowing through out there in a very quick amount of time. It wasn't glacial melt.
Yeah.
It was either Yellowstone Lake erupted, which is the biggest cauldron on the planet. And I could see that if that erupted, you could imagine the water. It had to have been something like that. Hart Mountain, north of town, geologically upside down. How do you explain that? It had to have taken a large, I mean, some people say that it was a big chunk of a mountaintop from Yellowstone that was blown up and it landed there upside down. Some people say it was swept across Clark. And if you look at Clark out there, the boulders, they're all rounded off. I mean, you can definitely tell there was a large flow of water. You go out, south of my house, and you have the Chugwater Formation, which is all that red rock that you see, that oxidized sandstone and red clay and shit. And then you'll just have these deposits of this black silt. And I was riding through it the other day, and I was getting buried up to up to the axles on my bike because it's so fine.
Yeah.
And it's just covered in like those fossils I was showing you earlier.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at that stuff, and then to find all those fossils, you got petrified wood, quartz, bone chips.
Yeah.
Oysters, the devil's toenail.
Yeah.
They've got there's squid. There's these little star things that are like jointed, and they're like vertebrae, but they're perfect stars.
Yeah.
I'll have to show you some of those. I don't know what they are. I'll have to look it up. I'm learning. I'm trying to find out what all of it is because it's fascinating. And then to think about, you look at your own life when you're out there in that place, right? And so you're looking at things that I don't know how old that stuff is. It's really intriguing to me that it's on top of the dirt because it can't be that old.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all on top of silt, so it can't be. They say that the devil's toenail, like that one I gave him, that's 200 million years old. I can't believe that's been sitting there on top of the dirt, on top of that fine silt like that for 200 million years. I don't know. None of it makes much sense to me. And I'm just saying to have these absolutes and to have people that say this is absolutely this and this is absolutely that, and and then to pretend to say who or what God is or isn't.
No. And
then to say that somebody from a different country who's wearing a different hat and speaks a different language, that their perception of their God is wrong. And I'm right. And it's like, what the hell? And then to read a 2,000-year-old book and I mean, I've talked about this with people. It's like, I go, okay, you got the red lettering in the Bible, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that was God talking. Says who?
Yeah. It's like,
who was talking to God back then?
It's like,
they didn't even know what fucking lightning was. I mean, you know, I mean, it's like,
yeah, no.
You're talking about a 2,000-year-old storybook.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a storybook that says that Jesus was born of an immaculate conception. Yeah. I mean, Joseph was the biggest cuck in the world.
Yeah.
I mean, oh, yeah, God knocked my wife up.
Yeah. No.
Why'd you get on the donkey and take off riding then? Yeah. I mean, you know, and the three wise men.
Oh, my God.
They brought gold, frankincense, and myrrh.
Myrrh, yeah.
What? Who cares? What the fuck is frankincense?
Yeah.
What the fuck is myrrh? I know what gold is.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that's been one of the constants, you know, but I don't know. It's just crazy. And then you just look at all, you know, the way all of a sudden civilization just took off. You know, you know, with Samaria and the Mesopotamian Valley, and all of a sudden you've got languages and you've got law and you've got structures and hierarchies.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. Something else is going on here that we don't even have a clue about. And it's just, I mean, it's sad, but it's also hilarious to just watch people
argue about
lose their minds over just pointless arguments. The earth is, you know, that you've got some people that say the earth is only 6,000 years old.
Oh my God.
You got other people that say it's 5 billion years old. And it's like, you know what? None of y'all know what happened 100 years ago with any certainty. You only know because of the history books. That's it. You know? And then they go, well, science. And it's like, how many times? Okay, let's look at COVID. How many times has science changed its mind on COVID? Yeah. I mean, that cookie gnome changes his mind every fucking week.
Yeah.
The CDC changes its mind every week. Those are the smartest, brightest scientists that we have in the world.
Yeah.
Right?
And they change their mind.
And they don't know what the fuck is going on with this fucking version of the flu.
Yeah.
Or the common cold, whatever it is. Bat soup. It didn't come from any bat soup. We funded it. You know, it was something that we've been into and that Fauci just lies about. And I mean, we brought it on ourselves. And, you know, that's the human condition, I think, is that, I mean, we, in that sense, I would say that we are probably closely related to monkeys. I mean, we might as well just throw our own shit at each other because, I mean, that's basically what we do anyways.
Yeah.
I mean, metaphorically or
figuratively. It is what we do.
It is. It's silly. You know, it's crazy. Judgmental. We got a high, I mean, you know, and hierarchies are necessary, I suppose. But those in those positions should take care of others. I mean, you know, you look at all the money that we're spending on all this bullshit, and we've got all these people that are homeless. You've got people that are starving. You've got, you know, people that can't pay their bills. They've ruined every bit of the economy, which money is bullshit anyways.
Yeah.
Money's bullshit.
Yeah.
It's crap. I mean, it has value because we all believe it has value.
Yeah.
And there's going to come a day when all of a sudden, you know, its value, and it's coming. I mean, look at inflation right now.
Oh no,
it's so bad.
Yeah.
I mean,
they're trying to control it, but it's like
they can't though.
Yeah.
They try and control it by creating more fake money.
Yeah.
That doesn't do it.
No.
I mean, and this money is just it's shitty pieces of. I mean, you know, I might as well just like go right here and go, you know. I'd just be like, okay, here, I'm going to grab this index card here, Ricardo.
There you go. It's worth $100.
Yeah, and we're just going to say in the world of Mike land, we'll just say these are mic'd file dollars. Maybe I ought to make this a cryptocurrency. And just be like, no, that's not a good marker. We're going to make mic'd file dollars, and we'll just start putting some backing into this.
Yeah.
You know, and like, hey, if you got the index card, then this has a trade value. It's like I was telling you when I was in prison. Good God, I can't even get out of here. Oh, that's spud. The currency was what they called a book of stamps.
Yeah.
So 20 stamps, but they were worth $5, and they were yard stamps, is what we called them.
Yeah.
But they were beat up old like 34-cent stamps that had been around forever. And you'd take them and you'd fold them up in a Post-it note in a square, tape it shut, put your initials on it, and that was basically a $5 bill. So you want to get your laundry done, you want to get your shoes shined, you want to get you want to buy something from me at my store, you want to place a bet. That was the currency. Those stamps were not, most of them were not even able to be put on an envelope. They were worthless, shitty pieces of paper. And a lot of guys would take one stamp and then they would cut up 19 pieces of paper and stack it behind it and then fold it up. And a lot of times guys wouldn't even open the books because you'd just get it from somebody. If it had their initials, you believed that it was good.
It was good, yeah.
Then you'd pass it to the next guy, and the next guy, and the next guy, and they'd go around the yard. I mean, if we do right here, I mean, we don't even have to call them dollars. We'll call them clams. So, we'll just say that, 5 clams. So now this is currency, right?
Yeah, there you go.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing as the United States government right there.
Yep.
I mean, it's the same thing. I mean, if Ricardo believes that is actually worth 5 clams,
then
if the next person believes it's worth 5 clams, and the next person, then it's worth 5. But it's really just a shitty piece of paper.
Yep.
Which is all this money is. I mean, it's just as stupid as and the value is becoming less and less. I mean, there's no difference between that and sitting here and getting in my wallet and saying, $100. Well, who says that's worth any more than that?
Yeah.
I mean, because it's green and they printed it at the Federal Reserve and it's got a little strip on it and it's got Ben Franklin.
Yeah. No.
The biggest pussy hound on the planet. Didn't that dude have? Didn't he have syphilis or some shit? He had some kind of.
Yeah.
They said he was a real whoremonger. Yeah. Another founding father, like Thomas Jefferson.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, people. Don't get mad at me. The founding fathers.
Oh my God.
Shaking our boots. How many slaves did Thomas Jefferson have? 600.
Yeah.
And how many of those females did he have children with illegitimately that he had enslaved? So, I mean, you got to consider that. I mean, that's basically rape.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're banging your slaves and having kids, I mean, really.
Yeah, it's rape.
So you have a slave-owning rapist who didn't want to pay his taxes was one of the founding fathers.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I know everybody's going to get mad at me about that, but you know what?
Sorry,
I mean, to sit there and sing the flag song and say that is like what we represent as a country, I think is bullshit.
Yeah.
And you can say that whatever he did was this and that and the other fucking thing.
It's like in your religion, it's like the same with history. It's like they just take out the bad parts and they just paint it all in a good light. So it's like...
Yeah, if you win, you can write it how you want. You can write it however you want.
Yep.
Thomas Jefferson was great. Benjamin, I mean, like you look at like Thomas Edison was supposedly the biggest shithead that there was.
Yeah.
Then he took credit for a lot of things he didn't even do, and I mean, he like Nikola Tesla basically was kind of ruined by Edison because Tesla was way more intelligent than Edison was a bumbling fool from what what I've read, and I could be wrong. I'm not saying I'm correct on that, but. I mean, from what I understand is he kind of stole most of his stuff. He was kind of a plagiarist. I mean, right up there with, Joe Biden. Graduated top of his class and bullshit. He didn't. He's made so many goofy. Oh, and then oh God, who was the English politician that he plagiarized way back in the day? It's like back from like the 70s or whatever.
Yeah.
And he just came. He went and he did the same exact speech. I mean, almost verbatim, except for the omissions that he made from who that guy was to him. I mean, I don't know. Whatever. I feel bad for the dude. I guess not really. I mean, I don't. I just they all need to go. But anyway, so to get back to the whole concept of death and dying, and talking about Joe Biden, of course. I mean, it's time for him to step out. I mean. He needs to go take up kayaking or backgammon or something. Politics is definitely something that, I mean, after 48 years in different offices and not having done a thing except imprison black men,
it's time to
go. It's time to wrap it up. Wrap it up, Joe.
Yeah.
Here's your kayak.
And I really hope that in 3 years it'll be anyone from the Democratic or Republican Party.
Here's what I would like to see: nobody vote.
Yeah,
just walk away. No president, none of it. Just forget it. Walk away from it. That would be so awesome if the American people. Now, I don't know. I would love this to take traction. It would be awesome to have just people just finally have enough and just say, you know what, we're not doing this bullshit. We're not playing this shit anymore. They promise one thing, they deliver nothing. We all suffer the consequences. There's more than enough to go around for everybody. Yeah. You and I both know that.
Yeah.
There's more than enough. I mean, we're supposed to be like the most prosperous nation on the planet, and we have all this homelessness. Yeah. We have more people incarcerated per capita than anybody. And then we have this group of oligarchs that just, prance around, and they're on the stupid TV and they're, and they all have their talking points that don't make any sense. And at the end of the day,
and they just start fighting with each other.
Right. And what have they done for you ever?
Nothing.
What have they done? They've never done anything for me except lock me up.
Yeah.
Tell me that I'm in the wrong place at the wrong time, but hey, sorry, we got to get conviction, so you're going away.
Yeah.
You get to sacrifice everything and lose it all and go sit in a cage. Oh, great. That's awesome. Yeah. I'm glad I voted for you guys.
Yeah.
I mean, really, they've not done anything for anybody. I mean, the last president I can think of that, they're just corrupt.
Yeah, but it's kind of funny because when I suffered a brain injury, my wife was in Maryland, and her first place to go was the Republican Party. Yeah. She found no help there.
Right.
So then she was like, she turned to the Democrats, and they were like, wait, there are resources. But so thankfully, and my wife was like, wait, the Democrats are helping me? It's like, it doesn't make sense. Because in her mind, she was like super Republican.
And did they?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was during Obama's presidency, or was that during?
It was during Obama's presidency. Okay. Yeah.
And I mean, I've tried to, like we were talking last time, I've tried to look into that too, as far as just looking at like single fathers resources.
Yeah.
And found nothing. And I mean, but then you look at it like Jimmy Dore was pushing the whole force the vote thing.
Yeah.
Like, okay, we're not gonna, like Kyle Kulinski kind of put together the Justice Democrats. Well, not kind of, he did. And the whole idea was that they were gonna, you're talking about like AOC, I'm sorry. Bernie Sanders is supposed to be part of that whole thing. Ro Khanna. I mean, you've got, all these and when it came down to voting for Pelosi, I mean, they could have forced the vote for Medicare for all.
Yeah.
And that was what the whole thing was about, because we're in the middle of a pandemic. People don't have health care.
Yeah.
The amount of taxes that we pay, it goes for bombs.
Yeah.
It goes to killing brown people that we don't know. And what in the fuck? I mean,
and then like you can't go and to even fight.
And then, but you can't even go to the doctor.
Yeah.
I can't go to the doctor. I've had a problem for a number of years. I've had a hernia for 7 years. I can't go get it fixed. I mean, it's a simple surgery.
Yeah.
It's not that difficult. It's like $26,000. If I go get it done here in Cody too, they're gonna fuck it up, because I watched them do it to my buddy. My buddy Rick almost died twice.
Yeah.
He had 2 hernia surgeries, and each one almost killed him. Each one damn near killed him that he got done here. So I'm damn sure not going under the knife in this town. I'm gonna have to fly someplace else to get it done.
Yeah.
If I do get it done, and I mean, I pay my taxes, but where's my money go? To bombs.
Yeah.
To go bomb people in Somalia, poor people in Somalia. Like, did I green light that shit?
No.
And the crazy statistic is that the amount of taxes that we all pay as middle class citizens of this country in our lifetime, you know how quick that goes?
Yeah.
Fraction of a second, the government spends it all.
Yeah.
They spend it all. We were looking the other day, what were those bombs? We were looking at the Tomahawk missiles, $1 million a piece for a missile.
Yeah.
$1 million. How many people does $1 million help? Can you imagine? I mean, what if your bank account? What if your bank account said $1 million today? Right?
Yeah.
That's one bomb.
Yeah.
Proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm not getting bombed. And it's crazy. And then, I mean, to go back to our, not to get sidelined or whatever, but I mean, you talk about, concepts of death and stuff like that. And like we take, and I'm not saying we as in you and I, but as a collective whole, this country, it seems like takes the life and death of people from, poorer countries, different nations. We just kind of act like it's not important. That was the one move that Trump made that I truly respected, was when they shot that drone down over Iranian airspace, and all the Democrats wanted him to go in and bomb. Everybody wanted him to go in and bomb this building where they thought these quote unquote terrorists were, who legally shot down a United States aircraft in their airspace where we weren't supposed to be. And Trump said, how many innocent people are going to die if we do this? And they said 97. And he said, we're going to take out 3. And he said, no. And they were irate about it. And I'm seriously, I mean, I don't give him props for a lot of things.
Yeah.
But for that move right there, I mean, honestly, that was, I mean, to me, that was the right call. And that was a call that you didn't see coming from, anybody in the Democratic or Republican Party. But he actually said, okay, what's going to be the cost of doing this?
Yeah.
And he decided not to do it. And so, I mean, no matter how many bum decisions he made, or, whoever he called a horse face, or however many pussies he grabbed or whatever, with that move right there, 97 people are still alive that could have very well been dead.
Yeah.
And you got to think about that too. I mean, can you imagine being a man that lives in that complex, and you get, say you're a baker or what, you own a shop or whatever you do, you get up in the morning, you have your tea and what, I don't know what I don't know what an Iranian breakfast would consist of. I've not been there, so I won't be so brazen as to even make that guess. But you have your breakfast, you kiss your daughters goodbye, you kiss your wife goodbye, and you're off to work like a normal day. And then you close up your shop and you come home and there's your apartment building in rubble. Now that's what forms. That's what brings about terrorists. Exactly. That's where terrorists come from. Is that right there? Because you can't tell me that if you came home from work and your house was destroyed, and your family was gone, what are you going to do?
You
don't care.
Pissed. Yeah.
You don't care. You don't care about yourself anymore, and you're going to go exact retaliation
and do the
against
same thing to them.
You're going to exact retaliation against who did that to you. And so you can't sit there and say, I mean, I don't condone anybody taking any innocent lives, but this country, I mean, this country has formed more terrorist pretty much more. I mean, we started back in 1953 when we interfered in Iran, when we overthrew them, and then it just went on and on and on and on and on, and it's still going.
Yeah,
we've interfered in more elections, we've interfered in more political coups, and overtaken more governments than any other country. And I mean, and yet we're going to sit here and wave that flag, and and then get mad at the Afro man because he takes a knee before a football game. I mean, that's the most nonviolent form of protest, just taking a knee. And I you know what? I haven't been to a game or whatever, but I personally, and I don't care how many friends I lose over this or whatever, but I won't be standing for the national anthem ever again, because I think it's bullshit. I think that I've seen what's behind that song, and if any of you don't agree with me, I would encourage you to read the third stanza of that song and tell me that that's not a racist piece of garbage. Have you ever read that?
Yes.
The third stanza, it's terrible. And Francis Scott Key was not the whole story that it wasn't anything like that.
Hold on, let me pull it up.
Yeah, and if you read it, it's just absolutely horrible. And for me, and I'm not. But I mean, I know this is how this always starts. Oh, I have friends that I have black. Well, you know what? Guess what? I know people from all different walks of life, and I love everybody. And you read that shit, and then that's what we're standing up and putting our hands. I mean, and then everybody's like, "Well, don't disrespect my ancestors fought for this." Okay, great. My grandfather did too. He was in World War II, and I respect the hell out of that man. He's probably one of the most respectable people I've ever met in my life. But, it doesn't make it right that, the things that have happened, and it doesn't make it, and I don't know what the answer is. I I really can't say. I mean, the answer to me is just, I mean, it starts with dialogue with people, with compassion, with being decent to one another, I guess.
What do you mean in the song that no refuge could save the hireling and slave? It's like...
Yeah. Yeah. I mean...
From the terror of flight or the gloom of the grave?
Yeah. Why isn't that part of the song?
Yeah.
Where'd that go? Why isn't that included?
Oh, no, that's like the non-safe part.
And then the Pledge of Allegiance, it's like, you know what? I'm not pledging allegiance to a flag.
Yeah.
I don't care. I mean, and when we have a system that is based on, the lesser of two evils, that argument really drives me nuts because evil is evil. And to say that, and every time there's a stupid ass election, that's what you hear. Well, I voted for such and such because it's the lesser of two evils. I voted for Trump because can you imagine what would have happened if we had Hillary? I voted for Hillary because can you imagine what would have happened if we had a Trump? And it's like, you'd have had the same thing.
Yeah.
You'd have had the same fucking thing. It wouldn't have mattered.
Especially in a town like Cody when we only get three electoral votes. It's like it fucking doesn't matter.
It doesn't mean a thing. It doesn't mean anything. It's just all a popularity contest and it's dumb. But anyway, I digress and I get off on a sidetrack. But I guess it all comes down to life and death. And I mean, to me, that's kind of one of the things I can't understand is why people are so wrapped up in this when we know that we're all going to go. Yeah. We're all going to die. And so why do we want to fight wars with one another? Wouldn't we want to see everybody do well? Because shouldn't we have like compassion when that, like I look at you and I'm like, okay, here's my friend Ricardo. Yeah. He's a father. He a husband. He works hard. I want to see him do well. Yeah. Why do I want to see anything bad happen? And why would I do the same with a man from Afghanistan or Iraq or Uzbekistan or Syria? Or why do I want to see anything bad happen to anybody? I mean, we're here for such a short time. It's such a quick gift that we have to even be alive. I mean, you're a one in how many million chance that you even that you even came out of your mother's womb because your parents had sex at the right time and that one little sperm swam into that egg. I mean, you came from two cells. Yeah. And think about this. I was talking about this the other night with somebody, but we came from two cells. So basically, every cell in our body has a better memory than our brain. Yeah. It's got more information in it, in that little cell, than we have in this whole noodle right here. And there's genetic memory in there. There's what formulated you, what made you you. I mean, so you think about that. I mean, it's like, I mean, you're not even just a one. I mean, the fact that you're alive is not even a 1 in a million chance. It's a 1 in a, who knows, 1 in a trillion, 1 in a billion, who knows? I mean, it depends on how many loads your dad shot into your mom, I guess. You know what I mean? Let's be honest about it, and what time of month it was. I mean, hey, let's, if we want to talk science, that's biology. Now we're talking science now. But I mean, really, every person is really a wonder. Yeah. I mean, really, it doesn't matter what color you are, where you're from, whatever. No. Every person is the fact that you're alive is one of the most amazing things ever. I mean, and then to have this consciousness and this cognizance and to have the thought processes that we have and I mean, and then to want to just blow each other up because we have these crazy arcane thoughts of, your magic man is not the same magic man as my magic man. It's bullshit. Fuck you. I'm going to blow you up. What? Yeah. I mean,
it's like, what the fuck are you
and
guys
it's all
doing?
Over money. Yeah. And that's the thing. That's the crazy thing is all of it is over wealth, power. Power is the big one. Yeah. Because really the elite don't really give too much of a shit about money because they can just fabricate it out of thin air and they don't care. What they really want is power. And I don't know why. What makes a person wired to want to be the president of the United States?
I have no fucking idea.
Would you ever want to do that?
No. Oh my God.
What wires a person to think that's what they're going to do? I'm going to be the president of the United States. I'm going to be the most pompous, arrogant ass on the planet and stomp around and waste money. And I mean, how much does it cost for the president to get on that stupid fucking airplane and fly somewhere? How many millions? Yeah. For him for the president to fly overseas. I mean,
It's crazy.
I hesitate to even think about it.
Yeah.
I don't even want to look at it. I mean, you've got people like that fucking Pelosi. COVID hits and people are losing their jobs, their businesses, their lives. And she's filming video with her with a $25,000 stainless steel fridge and showing everybody what kind of fucking ice cream she has.
Yeah.
What? Aren't you like Pelosi's the third most powerful person in the world? Should you not be showing everybody on the planet what kind of ice cream you're eating? And should you be like trying to help people? Shouldn't your ass be in DC?
Yeah.
Like fucking trying to figure out, okay, how the fuck are we going to deal with this? How are we going to save lives? How are we going to staff these hospitals?
That's what
how
we
are we
elected her for. It's
right.
like,
not to eat fucking ice cream.
Yeah.
I saw one of her bills from a private flight for all the booze that it was like $130,000.
What?
One flight for all the people she had on the flight. She was buying booze for everybody. I mean, they have bottles of Johnny Walker Blue, which, I mean, you guys don't carry that at Walmart.
Yeah.
I mean, back in the day, it was $100 a bottle. It's probably
no. We do carry it.
Oh, you do have it?
Yeah.
At Walmart, you got Johnny Blue? Oh wow.
We keep it under lock and key.
I was gonna say, how much does that go for now?
It's like $195.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's probably closer to $200 because I know the last bottle I bought was like $120, and that was like 10 years ago. I mean, it's some good scotch, but there ain't no scotch. I don't think there's any scotch that good.
Yeah, no.
I mean, I've paid $140 for a shot of tequila before.
Yeah.
But, why not?
No, it's...
when in Rome.
It's super expensive. And it just makes me... You know what? It's like... Thankfully, after I woke up from the brain injury, just thinking about all these thoughts about like how much money people spend and like... It's
on
like...
this frivolous shit.
Yeah, it just... makes me upset.
And it's funny because it really doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
I mean, the crazy thing is that Pelosi with her $25,000 stainless steel fridge and her expensive ice creams and everything, she's going to die too.
Yep. A lot sooner than any of us.
And you know what? I mean, she's 80 years old.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying anything other than that, but I mean, you've got a person that's taken advantage of the system. Her husband has done insider trading. Nobody said a word about it. I mean, these are people that, and she's talked about she was all, gung-ho about not building the wall when previously she was for the wall when it was Obama's idea.
Yeah.
And she lives behind a wall. Her home has got a wall around the whole thing. She lives behind a wall. And I mean, the people of San Francisco, in her district, they're not happy. They're not happy with her, and rightly so. They should not be happy with her. I mean, this is the woman that said of Obamacare when they passed the bill, she's like, "Well, we have to pass it so we can see what's in it."
What?
Yeah, you never heard that clip?
No.
Oh yeah, when they were voting on Obamacare, that was what she said. She said, "Well, we have to vote for it because then we can see what's in it."
No,
it's like the idea is that you
read it and then you actually.
But do you know how many pages are in one of those bills? I mean, they start off with a good idea, right?
Yeah.
But they attach those riders to them, so they start off with a bill that's a good idea, right?
Yeah.
And then they attach these riders to it,
and then
if they
shit to it,
right? So and then they blast one another. Like, say a guy votes against a bill that had a provision for veterans in it, but the thing started off with just a terrible premise.
Yeah.
And then they go, "Well, he voted against helping veterans. That piece of shit. Don't vote for And it's like, well, the reason he voted against it is because the premise of the fucking bill was garbage. You know, and then everybody adds these things, and it's just I don't know. It's crazy.
Yeah.
If we spent more time just caring about one another and not poking our nose in everybody else's business worldwide, and understanding that, I mean, really, what does a person have to gain by being like Rummy Rumsfeld just died recently. You remember him?
Yeah.
What a fucking piece of shit. That guy, a piece of shit.
Yeah.
What did he have to gain? He's dead now.
Yeah.
What did he gain by doing what he did? He was a war criminal.
Nothing
at all.
Yeah.
When Cheney dies, I mean, there's a guy, he was drunk hunting and shot his buddy in the face and made it, and his buddy had to apologize to him for shooting it, for getting shot in the face. He shoots his buddy in the face, and then the guy that gets shot in the face has to apologize to him.
Oh, fuck that.
Well, he's out there drunk hunting. I mean, that guy's like the evilest motherfucker out there. I don't give a shit what you said. That Cheney,
yeah.
I never did watch that movie about him, but I heard it was really good. Did you ever see that? Vice?
Christian. I have it at home. Yeah,
have you seen it?
I bought it, but I haven't seen it.
Yeah, with Christian Bale playing
it.
He's a great actor, man.
Oh yeah, I love Christian Bale.
He's a really good actor. I heard he's a real motherfucker to work with though. Like he gets so into it. He's like Daniel Day-Lewis.
Yeah.
Like those guys just get
into it. Yeah. But it's their job. It's like.
Right. And yeah, they step into character though. Yeah. Like Daniel Day-Lewis, they said like he steps into character for a movie and that's who he is.
Yeah.
Like you approach him as that person. For the length of the filming of the movie, you know. I mean that's. But I guess it works.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
like what I say. It's like it's their job. So
right.
Congratulations.
So they become that person, and you see these guys. You'll see these guys that just cut weight, put on weight. I mean, I'm trying to think of some of them where you've seen guys that have actually put on, like got fat on purpose. And you think about what that takes to get. I mean, I've been fat. Yeah. I was 280 pounds at one time. I'm like 185 now. But yeah, I mean, it's tough to lose 100 pounds. I mean, you put on a big amount of weight for a movie or something. I mean, you think about the ramification at the end of that, of what it takes to lose that weight. I mean, that's a lot of hard work to do. I mean, it's not easy.
No, I mean, I gained about like, oh my God, it was like 80 pounds before last year, and then last year my wife and I both decided that we were gonna be on a diet. I ended up losing 80 pounds, so it's a lot of weight.
It is.
Yeah.
And I've always had a problem with my weight too. If I eat sugars and things like that, I just blow. And like, you know, when I got divorced, I quit eating sugars and cookies and cakes and pies and all that. And I mean, the weight just falls off. I mean, I went back to like eating just like meat and vegetables and just lay. I mean, if I lay off sugar, I drop the weight right back. But if I start eating that shit, it's like, it's bad, man. Yeah. I mean, that's why I don't eat it, man. I mean, like I go places, people are like, oh yeah, have a piece of cake, have a piece of pie. I'm sorry, and then they get like offended. Yeah. You know, like you don't want to eat my. It's like I'm sorry, I can't. I just can't do it. I should just start telling people that I'm. But allergic or something. I don't know.
It's like kind of funny because my wife and I are planning to get back on the diet in like a month once Elena is old enough that we'll both get back on the diet.
Well, that's tough when you got to lose. That's stressful too, man. I mean, and stress is alleviated a lot by like. I mean, eating makes you feel. That's what we were talking about with the COVID thing, without being able to taste.
Oh my God!
I'll bet you dropped weight when you had that, right?
Because I still can't taste about half of what I used to. So it's like.
I know when I really had to force myself to eat after that because it was like, I mean, you sit there and you make something that you know is good. Yeah. Right? Like, you're like, oh, I love this. You're like cooking up some chicken Alfredo or whatever, and it's like, oh, this is going to be great, and you do the chicken on the Traegers, and, all the right cheese, and it looks beautiful. Presentation is great. And then you take a bite and there's nothing. And it's like, why? Yeah. I might as well just lick the bottom of my shoe.
No, it's like this sucks. Like ever since I had COVID, I can go without eating for 2 or 3 days, and I don't even realize it.
I don't either until like I feel like my stomach is really gonna cave in.
And then it's like, wait, I have to eat. Yeah. And then it's like, oh, wait, why do I have all this food in the fridge? It's like, oh, I bought it to eat. So it's like,
I mean, that was a weird thing to go through. I mean, I knew that's what I had when I couldn't taste anything. I was like, yeah, this is,
And it's kind of funny, but I was talking to the main lady at Taco John's today, and she's like, wait, why do you always order the same thing? And I was like, to tell you the truth, it's like the only thing I can taste, so I can taste all of it. And she's like, what do you mean doing? She's like, we sell great other dishes, and I was like, I just can't taste all of it. Yeah. She was just so like. She was in awe, I guess. Like,
no, it's funny because when we go through there, a 6-pack and a pound. Yeah, that's it. I could taste the Olays and that meat. That's God knows what it is. But it's good sometimes. It's I don't know. Jackson and I eat that maybe once every month or two. We'll go get that, and it tastes great. We're sitting out there and then get done about a half hour later, like, why? Yeah. What did I do? Why did I eat that?
It was just funny because it's like she was just wondering like, why do you always come here and order the same stuff? And I was like, to be honest, because it's the only thing I can really taste. And she's like, it just blew her mind. It's like, huh.
Well, it's weird when I know exactly what you're talking about, man. Yeah. It's weird because I mean, it takes the joy. I mean, part of the joy of eating is the flavors and the taste. I mean, and it's weird. You think, I mean, any one of our senses that we lose, is like, I mean, it's almost detrimental. I mean, you think about it. I mean, you know, sense of touch, taste, smell. You know, I mean, your hearing, your vision. I mean, you lose one of those faculties, and it completely changes your life.
Oh, I know, because I was like blind for like a year. Because
oh jeez, I can't even imagine that.
Yeah, it's like due to the brain injury, but I was like
legally you didn't have any vision, barely.
Only on half of my body, and then it was like exercising and just.
Have you ever had a migraine headache?
Yeah.
Okay, I used to get them. I haven't had one in a long time, and hopefully I don't.
Yeah.
But that used to happen when I get those. It'd be like, and it didn't. It would change side. But if I would, you know, doing whatever in my daily, if I all of a sudden couldn't see out of one eye or the other, I knew I had to get home and lay down because a migraine was coming. And for people who haven't had one of those, you got to go in a dark room, and I mean that's just brutal. But yeah, so you had just out of one eye,
and I also suffered like strokes, little strokes.
Oh Jesus!
Yeah, and I mean those are still like I can still suffer one of those whenever. I mean it's like out of my control. So
right. Yeah, and every one of those,
one
of those takes time off your life. So that goes back to the whole life and death thing. You know what I mean? I mean. Yeah.
So it's funny because the last time I suffered a stroke was like probably 2.5 years ago.
Yeah. What happened? Did you have to go to the hospital or?
No, I mean my wife just took care of me, and then she's like, "Okay, you're good enough. Like you can move now." And then it's like,
did you have like a marker board on your chest that you had to write on, like notes? Like,
oh my god,
like how I just made up the Mike Files dollars over there.
Yeah.
Did you have to write things? You could talk.
Yeah, I could talk, but it's like I'm having a stroke. It's like I just can't move.
What's that experience like? I mean, what's it feel like?
It's awful. It's like
you like seize up and like
it's just, like it's like everything just kind of goes like super stiff, and you
just
can't
constricted.
Move.
And oh god, it's got to be scary as hell too. Wondering are you gonna make it through that or not?
Yeah. And it's like if I was alone at that moment, I mean, thankfully my wife was with me, but if I had been alone, it's like you just lay down there and then you just pray for anyone to stop by.
Yeah. I mean, I watched my grandmother go through a few of those later on in life after my grandfather passed away. And I mean,
it's not
she'd
fun.
have the same, like the mini strokes, but she was in her 80s. And so, you know, you could just, and then it got to the point where, you know, it's like, you know, people are, when you get to be a certain age, it's the same thing, you're going to die.
Yeah.
And the fact that we resuscitate people that are, you know, of a certain age, I mean, you know, you get to an age and when something like that happens to you, you're in your 80s. I mean, it's like your time. And to bring somebody back, like my ex-wife's grandmother, she was a great lady. I really got along with her well. And she hadn't met me, and all I kept hearing about was she was going to cut my ponytail off. So we showed up at the assisted living home in Florida, right? And we go in, and the lady at the desk was like, "Oh, you must be Mike." And I'm like, "Well, yes, I am." And she's like, "Well, Grandma Catherine has been requesting scissors." I said, "Oh, to cut my ponytail off, right?" And she's like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Okay." And they didn't even really know how old she was. She was like 97, I think. At the time. I mean, and just she hated everybody in there. She hated everyone, you know. And I go in there, and she sees me, and she's like, "Where's my scissors?" You know. And I said, "You're not gonna cut my ponytail off."
Yeah.
You know. And I said, "You want to go for a ride?" And she's like, "What are you driving?" And I said, "Well, I got a Mercedes." And she's like, I love Mercedes. You know. She's like, "You want to go shopping?" I said, "Sure." And so, you know, we took her and put her. She's in the front seat riding shotgun with me, driving down the road. You know, and I mean, there was no more talk of but she'd been revived so many times that they finally had to just say no more because she didn't want to be revived. I mean, you know, you get to a point where it's like it's time to go, and it's almost cruel to put somebody through that over and over again because
you know what,
you get to a certain point. It's like, can you imagine being that old and you're I mean. I don't even know what goes into living in a place like that.
Yeah.
But my thought, and my stepdad and I we made this agreement years ago that if if I can't wipe my ass, like,
let me go.
Take me out. And if you can't, I'll do the same for you. Like, it ain't life. If you can't take care of your own faculties, then what's the point?
It's like
you gonna sit there and watch Jeopardy,
like
play bingo.
No, but like my wife struggled a lot with it at first.
I'm sure she did.
That I wanted to be gone. It's like, just let me go, because it's not worth living.
Yeah.
And then eventually, after having like 100 conversations with her, she's finally like, wait, you might have a point. So it's like...
But you battled through it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's...
So now actually, she actually respects my decision that if I ever get that bad, like when I suffer a stroke or something, it's like, just let him go.
And I fully think that's like I really think that's a humane thing to do. I mean, it's to, the Kevorkian there, he's made out to be one of the biggest evil villains of all time. But I mean, it's your life. You should be able to do what you want with it.
Yeah.
And especially if you're in a position where you're, look at that. Was it Terry Schiavo? That whole fiasco that happened. I mean, it's just, it's crazy. I mean, if you're just not even there, if you're not present, then
it's pointless.
It's time to go.
Yeah.
I mean, and I look at, friends that have left in a fast way, and it's like you look at that kind of, you go, well, at least they didn't go out, sitting there in a bed, having somebody wipe their ass, and I mean, because how much? I remember this old cat I met up on Mount Hood when I was a youngster, and he didn't have any family, and he had Parkinson's, and he was getting bad.
Yeah.
And he would drive up from Portland, the 26 miles up to government camp, and he'd play in the pool tournament. He was a hell of a pool player, and he never really lost until I moved to town, and I had $2 left, which was the entry fee, and I didn't have any other money. I'd had to win.
Yeah.
And I won that tournament that night, and he showed up at the end. I mean, he had that much clout up there that, I mean, he didn't even have to play in the first rounds. Like, he just showed up for the championship. Like, he showed up and I beat everybody, and I'm thinking I won. And then they're like, oh, Steve hasn't showed up yet. Because he's got like 3 walnut cue sticks,
Yeah.
I mean, this dude's good. I mean, we went round and round and round on that game. I mean, we were making shit shots and like just, I mean, it was one of the most difficult games of pool I've ever played, and I ended up beating him. And so I went and got my money, which was, I needed it badly that night, and because I was living in my truck, and I just started this job, and I had nothing, And he comes up and starts talking to me, man, and I was just like, "What's your deal, man? What's the deal?"
Yeah.
He's driving a Porsche, right? I see the car out front of the bar, and I'm like, "Dude, is that you?" And he's like, "Yeah." And I said, "What?" He goes, "Here's the deal, man." He goes, "I got Parkinson's," and he goes, "I've never had kids. I've never been married. I don't have any family left on this planet." He goes, "What I have is you kids up here at this place."
Yeah.
And so I come up here and play pool. And he goes, "You really pissed me off that you beat me." And I'm like, "I'm sorry I had to win because I don't have any money." And here's this guy driving a Porsche, and he's playing me for, it was like $200. And I'm like, that was my last $2 as an entry fee. And he's like, "What?" I mean, he can't even fathom that, you know. So we start talking and shit, and he's like, "Well," he goes, "I don't know how long I'm going to be around." He goes, "I got Parkinson's," and he's like, and it was amazing he could shoot as good as he could, because when he was sitting there, he's shaking. And he goes, when it gets close and the doctors tell me it's time to go, he goes, "What I'm going to do is I'm going to buy a ticket for everybody up here, all you kids, and we're going to go on a cruise." And he goes, "We're going to go down to the Caribbean, and we're going to go on like a month-long cruise. I'm going to pay for every bit of it."
Yeah.
Because there ain't no money. The money's not going to anybody. I don't have anybody to pass it down to. I'm just going to spend it. He goes, "And then I'm going to come back up here." And he goes, "I'm going to ride my skis off the backside of Mount Hood, off one of those cliffs, and call it good." I was like,
that was beautiful.
Not a bad plan.
No.
And I moved away before, and I don't know if he ever did it or not.
Yeah.
I'd moved away, but I hope he did.
Yeah.
I really hope he did, because what an awesome way to go, to be an old man and you buy, tickets for a cruise for
everyone.
like 200 young kids, and take them down, like kids that you party with at the bar and shit, that are just a bunch of ski bums, and you take them. I mean, what a great time.
Yeah.
and just spend a month and then come back and just get up there, put your skis on, and just
and
ride
die.
off a cliff.
Yeah.
Just like, all right, here we go. I'm hoping that I hope he did it.
Yeah.
Really, I do, because I thought that was to me, when he
it'd
told me that, like, from then on, we were really good friends.
Yeah.
Like, every time I'd see him, I mean, and if we were both playing in the pool tournament and facing off, we just typically just like, yeah. He'd be like, yeah, give Mike the money, and I mean, because it did matter to him.
Yeah.
The couple hundred. He was just up there to play. He just liked being around young people, and he's a really cool dude. I liked him a lot. But his attitude towards death was great, I thought. I mean, because people just try and hang on and hang on and hang on, and it's like we all have the same thing coming.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, what's
why
the point?
you've lived your life well. I mean, and I think that a lot of it though is that people have regrets.
Yeah.
So when they're getting onto their deathbed, when they're that moment is closing in, they look back at who they could have been.
Yeah.
And I think they regret it. And that's why I'm trying to do things to not have that happen.
Yeah.
I don't want to look back at life and say, I could have done this. I could have been this person. I could have done that. I mean, people think that I'm nuts for doing this podcast. I mean, like I said, people, like haters are like, oh, are you the next Joe Rogan or what? Like, no.
Maybe in time.
No, I'm not.
Yeah.
But I'm not. There's one Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
And what I always tell him is like, it's going to be great when I have him on my show.
Yeah.
When you and I are sitting here talking to Joe Rogan one of these days.
It'll be great.
It's going to be awesome. And all the haters can fucking eat a bag of shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Straight up. It's like, and at that point, it's not like justification on my part or anything like that. It's just like, people always tend to, when you do things that put yourself outside your comfort zone and put other people outside their comfort zone, and they see you're doing something that's like completely out of the box, it makes them uncomfortable. They don't like it. And that's where your haters come from, is because they see you doing something that, they're not doing. And people have, there's so many people how many people that just have total regrets about where they're at in life? I mean, they're just, like the dude you work with.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say name, but that dude, he does not like where he's at.
No.
I mean, how many people do you run into like that every day that you could just tell that they're just like, they're eating themselves up inside. They're miserable. And
it's like, what are you doing here?
I mean, it's short. You don't have much time.
Yeah.
So if you got something that you want to go for, my encouragement, people, is to go for it and do it. And I love doing this, and this is a good. This is really a good thing, and I enjoy having these conversations.
Oh my gosh, it's great for me, because it's like a chance for me to come and express how I feel, or
And you have a story people need to hear too. That's the thing. I mean, and that's why I always say anybody who wants to come on the show is more than welcome, because we all have a story to tell.
Yeah.
And none of our stories are less important than anybody else's. I mean, our stories are important, and things that we've gone through in life are important, and you should be able to express that and talk about these things. And I think that so many people just get marginalized in their day-to-day life, and they just don't think anybody gives a shit. Like nobody cares. And
the first time you came to a liquor store, you're like, what the heck is wrong with this dude? Why is he like holding things so close to his chest?
Yeah. Well, and that's why I think I said, you got a story to tell.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're like looking at me, and I'm like, no, you got something, and you're like, you're real kind of standoffish about it. And I was like, no.
Yeah.
You probably thought I was the last person in the world too that was going to say, I got a podcast. I want you to come. You're looking at me like, this long-haired, tattooed fucking weirdo. And now here we are.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's a testament to just, reaching out and talking to people. I mean, I don't give a shit. I'll talk to anybody. I don't care who the fuck you are. It doesn't matter to me. It doesn't. I don't care. And if you want to, you can come on here and say whatever you want.
Yeah.
If you're gonna come in here and say racist shit, guess what? I'm not gonna shut you down, but I'm gonna refute you. If you say some dumbass ignorant shit, then guess what? We're gonna hash it out.
Yeah.
And that's how I feel like you deal with things like that. It's not about this cancel culture of just shutting people down because you don't agree with what they have to say. It's like you counter bad speech with better speech.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? With logic, with reason, with and a lot of times I'm unreasonable, and I'm probably illogical, and I probably say shit that I shouldn't fucking say. But you know what? I don't know.
It's good to own it.
None of the shit I say is really hateful towards anybody except for politicians. you know, and asshole bankers and people like that. You know, I mean, it's like,
I used to be an asshole.
I worked at a bank too. But I mean, I'm just, you know, I mean, the people that take advantage of those that I really have never ever liked that. People that take advantage of others that are, you know, whether they be weaker in, you know, physical stature, weaker mentally, in any way whatsoever. I mean, if you do that, like I've always said, I would much rather fight the big guy in the room than I would go and show off and fight, you know, I mean, it's like, why? And I'd rather not fight the big guy either. I'd rather not fight anybody, but I will. You know, I mean, if it comes down to it, I mean, if you know, but I mean, it's just like, you know, it's. I guess you got to look at it too as, you know, I don't know. Everybody's got their battles that they're fighting that nobody knows anything about. Yeah. Even the big bully. There's a reason that he's a big bully. Exactly. You know what I mean? There's a reason people are bullies, and it's probably you know, that I think that you know, it's deeply seated. I mean, everybody wants to talk about this anti-bully thing, and it's like, well, why don't we do something to help the bullies out too? Yeah. Because maybe they are the ones that need some help too. Exactly. I mean, the bullied obviously need a champion, but maybe the bully needs somebody to say, hey, we love you. Yeah. Why are you doing this? Why? And usually there's a reason for it. I mean, every bully I've ever known. And you know what? It's like the bullies who are like the worst that are the ones who end up opening the most and crying the most and just letting it all out. And if somebody gives them a chance to, somebody gives them the opportunity to, for sure, man. And I've seen that happen. I've been on the other end of it with them before, where, you know, I've gone and fight with bully, and, you know, geez, all kinds of, you know. And I mean, you know, I mean, I've reached down and picked him up. Said, all right, let's fucking go have a beer and talk. Yeah. What the fuck? Why are you like this? You know, and then you find out, oh, you know, my dad did this to me, or something happened to me when I, you know, and you know, I mean, that's something that a lot of people they never have the opportunity to discuss that or to talk about it, and they just form a shell around themselves, and then the only thing that makes them feel good is doing what was done to them. You know, and I don't know, the world just needs more openness and. I agree. Compassion, because we're all going to check out, you know. I agree, 1,000%. And the violence needs to stop. I mean, there ain't no reason for us to be killing each other, you know. I mean, you know, you look at a city like Chicago and all the gun violence that's going on there, and I mean, the murder rates are up with all this shit, and I mean, we don't need any more police, you know, killing people. We don't need, you know, I mean, that's not the solution. It's not their job, you know. I mean, what happened to George Floyd was, I mean, regardless of George Floyd's past and whatever the fuck, I don't know, but he didn't, you know, over $20, he didn't deserve that. No. And maybe he was ODing, like people say. I don't know. I wasn't fucking there, but that shit should not have fucking happened, and it was wrong. And it I mean, it happens all the time. And, you know, it's just like, those are not the things that we need. Yeah. Because everybody's life is precious, and you know. And we need to understand that, and understand that we're just, I mean, our lives are a fleeting glimpse. Yeah. Like, you know, your life changed. I mean, you were on top of the world, right? Yeah. Making good money, great job. And then, boom, eyes red. Yeah. And then go to the eye doctor. Next thing you know, you're in front of a neurologist. Next thing you know, you got an 8% chance of living. And look at you now. You're probably better for having had that happen to you. Oh my God, I couldn't. And being able to tell your story and shit. You know, I mean, because it is an inspirational story, because you went from being somebody that was entangled in that whole idea of, you know, materialism and what you deemed as being success. No, but it was. Did you ever think you'd be working at Walmart in Cody, Wyoming? Oh no. I mean, right? I mean, that's crazy, man. But it was so funny, because it's like, I couldn't even look at my bank account because I knew that I had money there. So it's like, I just make money, and then I told my wife, like, you spend it any way you want to, and it's fine. And that's how I was for years too. And I mean, I still don't really look at it too much, but I mean, for a while I was just like, I whatever. What do you want? What do we, you know? Yeah. I mean, it was coming, it was going. I just really never even looked at it. Yeah. I would look at it come tax time. Yeah. And then I'd take it to my accountant. Here, you deal with this, you know. And I mean, that was after coming out of prison with nothing. I mean, so what I know is that I can go out there and do that again. Yeah. And but I choose to. I'm choosing to try and do something like this. But I swear, it's like, I mean, If you,
I didn't even have a need to look at it because I knew that I made good enough money that it's like, whatever.
Were you happy doing it?
No. It's like I'm way happier
sitting
now.
in traffic and...
No, but it's like...
I mean...
I'm more fulfilled in my life now than I ever was back then.
And that's what's crazy, too. And I used to always... Like, I always people watch, you know? And I'll be in a city and, you know, there'll be a guy on a corner buskering for change. He's playing his guitar. He's got his case open, singing his song. He's having a great day. He's having a great time. Guy's got a smile on his face. People are throwing coin at you know, I mean, and what's he, I mean, how do you feel when you got to go in a bank where you don't have an account, but you need to run that coin or whatever, you know? Or you got to go put it through Coinstar where they steal 10% of your money that you sat there and tried to make on, you know. And then you see the guy with the 3-piece suit on, briefcase, you know, all well put together, and you can just tell he's fucking miserable. And he's just stomping by the guy that's playing the guitar and having a great time. And you look at the guy and you know he's driving a BMW, God knows what. Yeah. He lives in a fucking, you know, $500,000 house. Yeah. He's got the hot wife, kids that hate him. Yeah. And he can't come up with enough money to make himself happy. Yeah. No matter how much money he makes, he's not going to be happy because everything's so fucked up in his life. And then you look at the guy that's sitting there with his guitar case with nothing.
He's having the best time of his life.
Yep. Like. And anytime somebody says something, gives him a compliment, throws a couple quarters in his case, maybe $1, maybe $5. You know, and I used to do that. I used to do that. I mean, you know, one of the last times I was, you know, to show up in Billings is, you know, I was with the band that was playing that night, and we were walking up to another bar, and I mean, it's not to not even to put myself on a shelf or anything, but there was a guy that was huddled up in a doorway in Billings, Montana, and it's cold. It was like February, and I told the band that had played it, and I said, "Hey guys, hold up a second," you know. And I go over and I just kind of crouch down next to him, you know, and he's just sitting, he's all huddled up, you know, and I'm like, "Dude, what's going on, man? Why are you out here?" You know, and he's just like, "Oh, what?" Like no one had talked to him like as a person. Yeah. And I'm like, dude, what are you doing, man? What's going on here? You know, he's like, I got nowhere, you know. And I'm like, why are you out? He's like, well, I'm a homeless vet. I'm disabled, you know. And I was just like, hang on a second. So I reached in my wallet and and I reached in my wallet and I pulled out $100 bill and I just passed it to him. And I said, listen, man, this ain't gonna do much. It might help you out tonight. I was like, hopefully this can get you a room somewhere, get you a hot meal to eat. Yeah. And the dude just started bawling, like crying, and like reach out and hug me, you know. And I mean, no one had done anything like that to him. I mean, it's just a stupid piece of fucking paper. And I go and I walk out, and the band sitting there, and they were watching what went down, and they're like, "Did you just see that dude?" And I'm like, "Don't worry about it," you know. And you know, they're like, "He just," well, you know, and they're like freaking out, and I'm like, "It's not a big deal." Yeah. I mean, if it gets a guy off the street, I mean, you know, and our government can spend $1 million on a fucking Tomahawk missile. Yet we've got a homeless vet sitting up there in Billings, Montana, huddled in a doorway. So unfair. He's probably got mental illness. He's probably suffering from all sorts of other shit. He's got to go to a shitty VA to get medical treatment, and he's sitting there almost freezing to death. Yeah. And we can't fucking take care of him. That's bullshit, man. Yeah. You know, that's what makes me fucking sick and tired of this fucking country and everything it stands for, because it didn't used to stand for that. Yeah. You know, I mean, it's been fucked up since the beginning, and what country hasn't? Yeah. Everybody makes mistakes. I mean, it's, you know, you're going to have that, but it's like learn from them and take care of people. Yeah. People are the most important thing. It's not fucking dropping bombs. That's what's frustrating. It's just dropping bombs. Yeah. I mean, how many people die? Or making money. How many people do you think died from COVID that could have lived had they had Medicare? I mean, a good portion. Yeah. I mean, I mean, you know, I don't know how many. At least half of them. Yeah, probably so. I would say so. I mean, people are scared to go to the doctor because they can't. I know I am. Mm-hmm. I don't go unless there's bones sticking out, or I'm bleeding and I need stitches, or I'm just like deathly sick. I didn't even go when I had COVID because I couldn't afford it. You know, it was like I mean, when this system is so fucked up, man. Big pharma. I mean, I feel bad for, you know. I mean, I got some friends that are diabetic. Yeah. And the amount that they have to pay for insulin anymore, it's just it's crazy. It's out of the world. And yet if they go to Canada, they can get the same vial for like $10. So it's like an EpiPen is $600 now. Yeah. They used to be like $20-$30. $600. I mean, my son's mother. I mean, she was taking one shot a month, $2,500. $2,500 one shot. What is in that? Uranium, plutonium, gold. What? I mean, $2,500 for one shot.
It's way too much.
That's ridiculous. Yeah. I mean, you got to be taking water out of the fountain of youth.
Yeah.
And I mean, really. I mean, you got people that are sacrificing, eating well, and living life the way they want to on their meager means, just so they can stay alive with their medication.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, these pharmaceutical CEOs are giving themselves $1 million a year raise, and just screwing everybody.
Oh yeah, they don't even feel the money come in or go out. It's like,
nah. I mean, that one company that came out with the OxyContin. I mean, when they got hit, what was it, a $16 billion payout they had to make? It didn't mean anything to them.
Yeah.
$16 billion is like me throwing out a $5 bill.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah. Let's just keep killing people.
Yeah.
But that shit's legal. And the doctors can prescribe it and get people hooked on it, and then they take the prescription away when they're hooked, and then the people turn to street drugs, heroin,
which is
morphine,
really fucked up,
whatever, and for fentanyl or whatever, and become addicts, and then they get arrested because of it. So the system creates addicts and then arrests them and incarcerates them,
which is just a big.
And then they're making money off the prisons.
Yeah.
You've got guys like that Jeff Sessions, he was another cookie gnome that's right up there with Fauci. I mean, in his portfolio, his investment portfolio, he had CCA prisons, which are prisons for profit. I mean, that was part of his investment portfolio. And here he is, the attorney general, the head law enforcement agent, basically, of the entire country.
Yeah.
And what's he invested in? Prison for profit. And he says, no good people I know smoke marijuana.
Oh, my God.
It's like, most of the good people I know do smoke marijuana. I don't anymore, but I used to. Could.
I mean.
But I mean, I don't care. It's a plant. It's a fucking plant.
Yeah. But it's kind of silly. But right now, it's like my wife and I, she's like, well, maybe if we move, we should move somewhere where that is legal. So it's like.
Yeah. And it should be legal.
She's a Mormon. It's like, what the.
Well, and that comes down to the same argument earlier. It shouldn't even be an argument. It shouldn't be an argument of legality. No. If this is something that you can grow in your garden or in your home,
it shouldn't be illegal.
How many people have you ever seen do anything messed up that's been high on weed?
Mm-hmm. Never.
Buy an extra bag of Doritos. Watch a little more Netflix at night. Fall asleep. Laugh and get cotton mouth or drink too much. I mean, I've never ever seen anybody do anything violent, malicious, anything to get in trouble other than the fact that they're possessing a plant, and that's what they call it when you see it on the Cody PD site. It's possession of plant is the charge, more or less than whatever I don't even know what the weight is on it, but it says possession of plant. Oh, you had a plant. You're going to prison.
Excuse me.
And the whole thing came about, because of DuPont. I mean, that was. Yeah. And the jackass that had the printing press, and then it turned into a whole racial thing. I mean, have you ever watched Reefer Madness?
No.
Oh my God, you got to watch it. Yeah. You want to talk about some crazy shit? They came out with it was a total propaganda movie, and it came out and basically said that black men are going to play jazz music and smoke the reefer and rape white women. I mean, it was completely like racial propaganda is what it was. I mean, absolutely ridiculous. I've never seen anybody do anything like.
Oh my God.
That's remotely violent or anything.
What's silly is that whenever people speak about racism, I'm like just thinking about the days when I used to work in Maryland, that 95% of my team were from Ethiopia. So it's like, how on earth do you want me to be racist?
Yeah.
It's like, I can't. Like,
well, yeah. And I mean, I've never been able to either. I've never understood it. Yeah. I mean, and people around here are, and I've just never, I don't know. I don't.
No,
I don't know. It's crazy to me to think that you're going to look at somebody else and say, because of where you were born
or
the color of your skin that I don't like you, right?
No.
Like I just don't like you.
It's like
what the fuck are you talking about? It's like I didn't decide to be this. I didn't decide to be a white dude born in Juneau, Alaska.
Yeah.
I didn't have a call in that.
Yeah.
What do I have to be proud and you fucking suck, it's like what?
Yeah, no.
I mean, it's just like you didn't have any decision in being born in Mexico City and growing up there. It's just like a person in Ethiopia did.
Yeah.
Nobody has that call. You're born where you're born. You're born who you are, and to hate somebody because of that, and to it just blows my mind.
And what makes
I just can't I don't understand it, and it just doesn't make any sense.
It makes me happy that my wife loves our kids and the fact that they're half Hispanic, because she feels like she's Hispanic now. Well, and she goes and talks to my parents like as if they are her parents. So it's like
right. Well, yeah, and I mean, she obviously loves you, so your kids are half you, and so what? There's nothing. What the fuck is wrong with that? There's nothing. There's nothing wrong with it. No. There's no. I just don't get it, man. This has always been something I just. And that was a tough thing with going through prison because it's so racial and shit in there, man. And it's just like, I'm not. I've never been of that ilk. It's just like I'm just not gonna hate somebody just because of their. I don't care if you're wearing skinny jeans and you look like a goofy hipster. I might poke some fun at you and see if you can take it. But it's the same thing. It's like And the funny thing is like some of the best conversations I've had with dudes that are from different backgrounds are the conversations where we would make fun of one another. And especially when we were locked up. We'd sit there and we'd have all these stereotypes of one another. And we'd sit down and we'd have these conversations. And they were hilarious because we'd realize how stupid we were.
Yeah.
Like we'd realize how dumb we were because this is
that's how you think. That like
it's like I have this perception of you.
Yeah.
And you have this perception of me. And we know each other now. And we know that
it's like completely.
We know that that's not who we are, and it's funny as hell to sit there and have that. And when you laugh, it's completely politically incorrect.
Yeah,
like these are conversations that everybody would just, oh my goodness, I can't believe you'd say that. But we would, and through doing that, like I had a friend that came up to me. I just met him, and he said, oh, man, I've never even talked to a white dude before, man. He's like, you ain't too bad for a white guy. And I looked at him, I said, well, you ain't too bad for a black dude either, man. And we both kind of looked at each other, and he just cracked up, and I cracked up. From then on, we were boys. It was like, it was funny as hell because, he had the same perception of me that I may have had. I don't know. I moved out of Wyoming when I was 18, and I went and saw, a big portion of the United States, and I was around a bunch of different cultures, and I always tried to immerse myself in any different culture I possibly could because I enjoyed learning new things about people and meeting new people. Because it's like if you meet new people from different places that it enhances your life. You know what I mean? It does. It's like
And let me say, like the best friend I had in Mexico, he was adopted.
Yeah.
So his skin color was way darker than everyone else's skin color. So you knew right away because we all went to a white school. So it's like you knew right away that there was something going on there. But I immediately reached out to him and I was like, hey, what's your name? And he's like, oh, my name is Orlando. And I was like, oh, good to meet you. Yeah. I was like, come join me. And then we became best friends because it's like.
It's great.
Yeah.
Growing up here in Cody, shout out to my boy Jeff Paris if you're watching this. My boy Jeff, same thing. And Jeff, I hope I'm not putting you on blast here, but I think everybody'd like to hear the story. But Jeff grew up right around the block, like right up the street, literally from where we are right now. And he was like the only black kid in school. And my brother and him were really good friends. We always just hung out. Like we were cool. I think it was like 8th grade. Jeff moves away, right? And so I ended up going to school in Idaho, and I'm moving my shit into this dorm, and there's a black dude standing up on the, on the steps of the dorm, and I'm moving my shit in and out from my car. I keep catching this guy's eye, and I'm like, I know this fucking dude. And finally I come out, and he's standing there still, and I look at him, I go, dude, where the fuck do I know you from, man?
Yeah.
And he's like, I don't know, dude, but I got the feeling I know you from somewhere too. And I said, where are you from, man? And he goes, well, I graduated from high school here. He goes, but I grew up in Cody, Wyoming.
Nice.
And immediately I'm like, Jeff? and it was, we hadn't seen, I didn't know whatever happened to him. Like I didn't know where he went, nothing. I mean, he was just gone, and it was like, shit. And so here we are, and then we're still friends. Like, he's been out here to visit, when his mother passed away, he came by and we hung out, and I mean, he's, down in Southern California, and I hope to get out there someday and see him here. But we've always stayed in touch and been great friends. And I mean, as kids, we never even really it wasn't anything that ever crossed our mind.
Yeah.
And then we had a place where we were staying in Idaho, right? And Idaho's, they've got a lot of skinheads.
Yeah.
And we had a house full of them up the street. And we had this old shitty couch, and we would barbecue out front, and they kept riding their little bikes by, and they kept saying N-word lover and shit like that to us, and because Jeff was there, and it was just, I fucking had enough. And we damn near went down in the street. I mean, I had my bat out. There were a bunch of them in the street, a bunch of us. But I mean, all of us, I mean, we were ready to take these fucking skinheads on because Jeff was our brother. We didn't give a
exactly.
It was like you didn't even think about
whether he was your real brother or
well,
not.
You didn't even think about, it's like you don't look at somebody that way.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, to me, it's like, and I always tell my friends this, is like racism ends when we start calling one another by our names.
Yeah.
And not referring to each other as, oh, that's my white friend Mike, or that's my black friend so and so, or you don't have to use that descriptor. You just say, this is my
friend Mike.
And I mean, that's how I refer to anybody that's a friend of mine. It's like, I mean, I told a bunch of people out here, and shout out K-Pook, when my friend Josh came out, I told a bunch of people out here, it's like, my best friend Josh is coming out from LA. And they hear Josh, of course, is Wyoming. They don't think that I'm going to walk into the bar that night with a big black dude, and they're like, whoa. And then he becomes the first black member of the Eagles. And I mean, I remember specifically, we're sitting there and I'm talking to my friend, and I look over and he's at a table with all these, a bunch of white people, and he's like, which one of you motherfuckers has a pocket knife? I know one of you guys does, and he's like, because everybody put your hand on the table, and everybody puts their hand on the table, and he goes, okay, so who am I going to stab and have their hand bleed green? And everybody's like, huh? And he goes, you get my point. And he puts the knife down. And from that moment on, and Josh is crazy like that. He just makes friends with everybody. But it was just, it's a crazy, it was a funny story to tell. Just because, I don't think anybody, and I didn't ever tell anybody. Well, why would I tell anybody that? It's like, this dude's my best friend. He's my brother. I trust the dude more than anything. That guy is my boy, man, straight up. I would trust that dude with my life. I would trust him with my son's life. I would trust him with anything on the planet, and it doesn't fucking matter about, this doesn't matter. Really, we're all just walking around in a car. And I guess back to the whole thing with life and death. We really are. Our body's just a car.
Oh,
that's all it is. It's like, drive it till the wheels fall off and fucking park that son of a bitch and move on.
I stand 1,000% behind that, because it's like how I feel. It's like having such an experience close to death. You just learn to look at life differently. It just changes.
Yeah, for sure, man. Definitely. And like I said, I haven't been through what you've been through, but I've definitely had, I've had those moments where it's like, dude, you're going to fucking die.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you don't make the right decision right now, you're fucking dead. And I've had that happen a number of times and somehow gotten out of it. And here I am, Yeah. And my little brother, Bernie, who, I just finally got the episode out with him. He got back and he had another blood clot and had to go through another surgery and almost died again.
Yeah.
After having his subdural hematoma surgery and all that. And he's got a different outlook on life now, having gone through what he went through. It's the same type of thing. I was worried about him, big time. And when I talked to him after he got it, he's just, like no big deal. It's like, oh yeah, you just had to go spend 6 days in the hospital and have the surgery done, and
that'd be my reaction too.
And he's just like, hey, everything's cool, man. He's like, I just had to quit smoking and I'm not drinking as much, He's just made the adjustments and he's happy. Like today I talked to him, he's like, yeah, you know what, man? And he goes, I'm just gonna go out and go for a walk. He goes like, I can walk around now, stitches and this and that. And he's like, I'm gonna go do a couple trips around the block. It's a nice day. I'm like, yeah, go get that air, man. Go move around, get that fresh air. And smile at somebody. I said, flip off a hippie, whatever you got to do, man. You know, it's like, who cares? And
just do something. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I've noticed that with him since his whole thing too. Is just, he just is like, yeah, well, you know, it's kind of like your attitude. You're just kind of
like,
yeah, you know, it's kind of free and easy.
Yeah.
It's like, well, whatever.
Well, before
and that's really it. I mean,
such a fucker. It's like such a control freak, and
well, and that's when we get ourselves in the worst positions in life too. Is when we try and enact our will on situations, and we try and so forcefully put what we want to happen on a situation, like instead of just letting things happen, letting relationships happen, letting them come and go. I mean, you know, and I see that a lot with obsessive people that they just can't let a relationship go. It's like, you know what, man? It's like, let it go.
Yeah.
It's like it didn't work out.
No.
You know, it's like there. I mean, you know, I had an old friend, and she told me at one point, she said, you know, people come into your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. Yeah. And it's kind of cliche, but you know what? It's true. I mean, people are there in the right place in the right time for you.
You can't control who is. It's like,
no, and you can't. And to try and control somebody and force them to, you know, be in, you know, if you can't do that. I mean, it's like, you can't force somebody to be with you, to be your friend, to be. I mean, people are going to be who they're going to be, and they're going to go where they're going to go. And I mean, really, all you can do is just be, you know, hey, if they're doing what they got to do, then just be happy for them, even if it hurts. Sometimes it does. I mean, I've been in that situation where, you know, you end a relationship and it's like, shit.
Yeah.
You know, and you're down and out, but then you realize, you know what, it was for the best. You know, you go like, it was, you know, you look back at some certain things and then you go, you know.
It was good. It's like,
you know, this is probably the best thing that could happen.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, sometimes it takes a little time, but, you know, then you see people that are just obsessed and crazy, and you're just like, what in the fuck is wrong with you, man? It's like, live your life. You know, it's like this person's life has nothing to do with your life. You control your life, not anybody else.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
Yeah.
That's...
We should probably cut it short.
I suppose, cut it short. Who knows how long we've been talking now?
Yeah, it's probably an hour and a half. So
it's been a while. We've been babbling on and on. All right, well, we're going to take you out with another song here. I'm just going to randomly hit something.
Yeah.
It might not even be Brandon Hart, but anyway, from the Mike Files with my co-host, Ricardo.
See you guys.
Peace out. Y'all be good to each other. Love each other. Do no harm, all right? Later days.
Always on one, about as far as I think back. No way to solve it or even stall it, cause once I'm in then I go fast. I'm like my father, I'm not moderate, I'm not perfect, but I'm working on the worst things that keep me up at night. And it's all fine till I'm in my